Maker's Tool Works, home of the Mendel Max.
Hi, this is Ryan Turner with Maker's Tool Works. Today I'm going to show you how to make and apply an ABS acetone solution to the print bed of your fused filament fabrication-based 3D printer, like the Mendel Max 2. This is especially useful for users wishing to print with ABS materials, but finding that they're having difficulty with the first layer of the print adhering to the print bed. Or, conversely, they might be having a little bit of warping that occurs, and this can help that out too. Now, there are a couple of users that have found that when they make this solution much too strong and print the first layer way too low, that they can't take the prints off of the glass. It simply works too well. So make sure that you don't stray too far out of the norm, but terrible precision isn't really necessary here. So there's a couple of supplies that we will need. First thing being a measuring cup. Gotta make sure it's glass or HDPE though. And of course you can use something like a volumetric flask or a graduated cylinder if you'd like to. 1 cup or a couple hundred milliliters are plenty of capacity for measuring. But the important thing is that it's a material that does not dissolve in ABS. The second thing that you'll need is a measuring tape. I have a 16-foot long measuring tape that is much overkill for this. Just a regular 1 foot or half a meter stick is plenty. So in terms of supplies that you'll need for this, there are a couple of things. The very first thing that you'll need is a bottle, because there's not much sense in just making enough to use once when you're doing this. It takes a little bit of time for the ABS to dissolve. So we like to make a solution in batch, put it in a bottle, and use it until it runs out, which should be a couple of months, because this does not take that much. Now you can see this bottle I'm using might not be what you'd expected, and it's certainly not what I used for making my PVAC solution before. That's because, once again, it has to be a material that is not dissolvable in acetone. So I'm recycling a rubbing alcohol bottle which is made out of HDPE. The important thing is, once again, that it does not dissolve. Things like canning jars tend to be problematic because the seal on top of them dissolves in ABS. So you might have it cranked down all the way, but then knock the bottle over, and then suddenly you have acetone coming out the side because it's eaten through that rubber gasket. So something made out of HDPE or something with glass with an HDPE top is what you want. Now the second thing that you'll need is ABS filament. I'm using red Maker's Tool Works ABS. Now you can use things like natural or white, but then you can't quite see where the solution's applied. So I find that a bright color like red works best. Of course the downside to that is that you're going to have red on wherever you apply it. So if you spill the stuff, it's going to be noticeable. And it might adhere a little bit to the first layer of your prints. So if that's really a concern, then go with clear or white. But for me, I just want to make sure I can see that it's still there. I care about it working. So I'm going with red. Then the third thing that you'll need is, of course, acetone. You can see I went overkill here and got 1 gallon or 3.75 liters worth of acetone, which is much more than I need to fill this little bottle. So you don't have to get the same size as me. This only cost me about $20 US at a home improvement store, but you certainly can go with the quart size or quarter liter or half liter, whatever you have available. Though I recommend you stay in the home improvement quality acetone. Don't sort of stray out of that and go to a department store or to a beauty store, because the acetone that's used for a nail polish remover tends to be much more expensive and tend to get a lot less for your money. We don't need the purity, we don't need the additives and stabilizers, what have you. We just want pure, straight up acetone. So cheapest here is best. And going along those same lines, getting lab quality acetone really isn't necessary. We don't care for that sort of precision. So with all these things on hand, let's go ahead and start making the solution. It takes a little while for the ABS to dissolve, so the sooner you get started, the better.
So let's get started. Work in a well-ventilated area, preferably outside. We recommend